Hello, Dr. Coburn and class. This is my critical assignment where I'm comparing CrossFit and traditional weight training. And what this is a study to analyze the potential benefits of the sport that is really sweeping the nation. So CrossFit is becoming a lot more popular in the last couple of years, and there's lots of people that say it doesn't do anything like normal weight training does, and then CrossFitters will fire back and say it's so much better, way better for your heart, way better for your body, and does way more than normal training. So I wanted to do a study that really compared it and answered this question. And so, by the way, this is my last assignment of the entire year. I graduated on Thursday, so very exciting. It was great to be a part of CBU, and I really hope you guys enjoy this assignment. So, CrossFit, what is the big deal? So, like I just mentioned in the introduction, CrossFit really has exploded in popularity. And what CrossFitters do, they like to be functionally fit. So, an analogy of that would be if I had this big wheel, like in the Wheel of Fortune, where I have all these different variables, and I just spun that wheel. And on those different options that the wheel could stop on were all these different fitness activities, perhaps rock climbing, or maybe running 5 miles, or doing the bench press. What CrossFitters want to do is they want, if that wheel lands on any of these random activities, they want to be able to do it well. And they want to be functionally fit and able to do everything athletically well. Bodybuilders claim CrossFit really doesn't cause hypertrophy or strength gains and is a waste of energy. That's from this meme. Okay, and this is a very popular meme out there, and obviously it's fake, but they take a lot of criticism from the both communities, just launching complaints back and forth. So, why is this study useful? Okay, what would be the benefits of finding these results between the two? So, CrossFit again is new, and research comparing the two sports is actually very limited. When I was doing research on this, I was trying to find actual stuff that compared the two sports together, but there was very little. And so what happens is current literature will actually show that they both have benefits on their own. There's studies on CrossFit by itself and traditional weight training by itself, but they don't actually compare each other together and give readers a detailed explanation of the different benefits of the two types of training. So a big thing is, especially for coaches and athletes alike, knowing the differences between the two sports would be revolutionary, because for like Clay Matthews on the top, he's a middle linebacker or an outside linebacker, and he needs to be really strong, like 260 pounds of just solid muscle. And he needs to have a lot of hypertrophy to just have that strong, big body out on the football field. The guy on the bottom is Conor McGregor, and he's in the lightweight class, and he needs to be really light. There's a weight limit, so having a ton of excess hypertrophy and getting to be like 170 pounds wouldn't necessarily be good for him. He needs to stay down in the lower weight class in order to compete at his desired level. So understanding the training benefits of each one of these will help them kind of prescribe better training schedules to these athletes in different sports categories. So here's my hypothesis and the purpose of this study. So the purpose mainly was to examine the effect CrossFit has on body composition. That would be like how much body fat is in the subcutaneous areas, the skeletal muscle strength, skeletal muscle composition, and also muscular endurance in comparison to the traditional weight training. So, guys, keep in mind that these are the dependent variables, okay? My research hypothesis for the study is that the CrossFit schedule, guys, will actually result in greater strength gains and fat loss, and the traditional weight training schedule will yield greater skeletal muscle hypertrophy. So that was my original hypothesis before doing any type of sham data or research or anything. And we're going to find out that it was pretty close, but not exactly. So remember, the null hypothesis states that there's no difference and it doesn't increase or decrease. And the alternate hypothesis, so my opposition to the null hypothesis was that CrossFit participants could actually see similar or better results than the traditional weight training group. So the null hypothesis is kind of like what the people on the traditional weight training would say. Yeah, it doesn't do anything for you, doesn't really help you that much. And the alternate hypothesis is say, yeah, you know what, CrossFit does have its benefits and it should be used. So let's talk about methods. How am I going to test this theory and this hypothesis? So let's start up on the upper right where we have participants. And what this study consisted of, remember guys, this is sham data, so this isn't exactly right. In the future, I'd love to do a real study of this, but this is sham data. So I would have 10 subjects with 5 per group, 2 males and 3 females per group. And 4 of these athletes are recreationally trained, meaning they're active on a daily basis. They partake in regular physical activity, but they're not part of an actual like sports team or CrossFit games competition group or anything like that. They are just recreationally trained. 6 subjects are moderately active and aren't involved regularly in all that stuff, but they're still at least get off their butts every once in a while to test these things. Okay, and pre-test mean athleticism evenly dispersed among the groups, meaning that I'm not going to put all the athletic people in the traditional weight training group and all the non-athletic people in the other. That would just mess up everything. So they're evenly dispersed after testing, and I said, okay, this person's really strong, and I'm going to put this other really strong guy in separate groups so we don't throw off the data. All right, and now the procedures. So the pre-test subjects were analyzed via the InBody 570 body composition analyzer. Even though I didn't use 10 subjects on this, I actually tried out this machine. It's really awesome. What it does, it's a bioelectrical impedance analysis, and what it sends this electrical current through your whole body and instantly monitors and tells you what your skeletal muscle mass, your body fat percentage, intra and extracellular water, and all these other awesome things that it prints out this nice sheet and tells you exactly what you have in your body. And I use this, and this is what I would use for a study if I was to do this in the future. So strength was tested via 1 rep max. So that's the most amount of weight that can be added and done with 1 clean repetition at the gym. So a bench press for me was about 210 pounds, and that's the most I was able to do with just down and up with 1 clean repetition. And so test. What do we do? How do we test this stuff? So subjects are required to adhere to a 4-week group-specific training program designed for either CrossFit or traditional weight training. I used this really popular fitness website, and it gave a 4-week schedule for both CrossFit and the traditional weight training group. Training lasted either 4 to 5 times a week. Both of the schedules trained about the exact same amount of time and about the exact same frequency as well. It's just the thing that differed was the actual type of workouts being done. Keep in mind that this is the independent variable. So post-test is the pre-test measures were the 1 rep max, and the impedance analysis was checked again. So here's the statistical analysis portion. The alpha will be set at 0.05, which is the probability of rejecting the null hypothesis. You don't want to set that too high or too low, or there's more room for error. So 0.05 is the one that most kinesiologists will stick with. And what I did is I compared the average difference or the mean difference between the CrossFit and traditional weight training groups. And this is the post-test score. So I saw how they improved, how much more weight they're able to lift with their 1 rep max, how much their body fat or their muscular and hypertrophy has changed. And then I did a independent sample t-test to determine the actual differences and seeing if it was significant or not. And if we'll just check out the Excel chart real quick, just to show you a little bit. Here we have the pre-test and post-test data, and the red here is CrossFit, okay? On the top and the bottom is traditional weight training, and we have the difference here, and body weight meaning they lost 10 pounds, lost 6, this is actually gain, 10, 6, 10, 10, 10, and there's actually minus 11, minus 2, minus 10, minus 0. So then that these are for all the different dependent variables here, and I'll explain what all this means right now. So after that sample t-test was done, here's our results. So after completion of that 2 sample t-test, the weight and the body fat variance differ dramatically, and that value just means let's go over if you can see right here on the 0.021, if it's below 0.05, that means there's a big enough difference to actually mean something, meaning that there is definitely a difference between the 2 sports. So with the weight and body fat, we can see that CrossFit will actually make you lose more weight and also lose more body fat. But the traditional weight training group, you actually gain more muscle, more hypertrophy. Interestingly, the strength with the 1 rep max was actually very similar between the two sports, showing that although in the traditional weight training group they got a lot stronger, or not stronger, bigger, they both had the exact same amount of strength between the two groups. CrossFit actually was a little bit higher, believe it or not. So the implications, again, going back to Clay Matthews and Conor McGregor, is that Conor McGregor can actually maintain his weight by doing CrossFit, but also get stronger and more athletic. Whereas Clay Matthews can do traditional weight training, get bigger and stronger, and be a better outside linebacker. So now, knowing this information, coaches and trainers and athletes can use this and prescribe training schedules for their athletes that align with what results they want to see. If they want to see more hypertrophy or less hypertrophy, or low body fat or a little bit more higher body fat, just depending on what they desire. Okay, they can decide if they want to implement CrossFit or more traditional. So for future research, I obviously have to not use sham data. Sham data kind of messed everything up because it's not even real. Other studies analyze the two sports separately, so I really did compare the two, and if I was able to do this in the future, it would provide some very valuable information to athletes and coaches and trainers when they are training for their sport. Another big factor is diet should definitely be monitored in the future, and having a high protein diet is shown to aid in muscle growth and also just performance in sports, and so monitoring a diet would be very important. And more participants would be needed. 10 is definitely not enough to be incredibly accurate. You need at least like 35 to 36. And so I would like to explore this study in the future. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much, Dr. Coburn, for being an incredible instructor and all your help on your emails that you've sent me and just always being there when I needed you. Thank you so much, classmates. I love CBU. It was a great experience, and I look forward to watching your guys' presentations. Have an incredible week, and God bless you.